friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought it would be good to catch up a little bit. Honestly, I feel like we haven't chatted in a while. I have some life update things that I fancy sharing with you all, and I also asked for y'all to submit some questions over on Instagram if you had any questions for me, either planty or personal. So I thought it would be perfect to do that while I do some repotting of plants, and we can kind of just do this together. So I have a feeling this one's going to be a bit of a long one. So grab yourself a cup of tea, a drink, some repotting for yourself, plant chores that you need to do, and we can get this done. So before we do though, honestly, if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you are not new here, welcome back. I really appreciate it. Let's get on into this stuff. I first off made myself a cup of tea because it is gloomy here today. It feels like the official end of summer right this second because it is so gray and cloudy and rainy outside. I don't know if you can tell that it's dark. I've put on all my grow lights way earlier than I normally do because it just seems gloomy. It's still warm, but it's dismal out. So I've made myself a cup of tea to stay cozy and just to have to accompany this video. Cool. So I guess I can move this one. Gonna get started here, and I think the best thing to start off on, I've got several different random repotty bits I need to do, but I think the first one I'm going to get into is with this Repot Chat I'm. So with this one, it is, this is just a cutting from the main plant, and I feel like it's time to, this has got hella roots, so we're all good in that. It's got hella roots, but also I feel like I need to cut this one again, just because this one has gotten so long, so we can do that as well when we get into it. Yeah, this needs to be done. It's time. So let me adjust the angle a little bit so y'all can see better what I'm doing, and we'll get straight into it. Is that okay? Angle-wise, I know it's probably not perfect, but it's what I have going on at the minute. So I guess one first update. So aside from getting a new mic, which I'm still working things out with, so if the audio is a bit odd, please, all the feedback is appreciated. I really do take what you have to say into account. I'm trying to make this work for all of us. Stop. Sit normally. But two, my wide angle lens, I dropped my camera the other day and I broke my lens, and so it is off getting repaired at the minute. So I am back shooting on my original lens, which is kind of strange because I shot on this lens for ages, basically up until March, and it felt like the perfect thing. And then once I got my wide angle lens, I basically never went back. So I feel like this is really close in at the minute, and I don't know, I'm just not used to it anymore. But, oh, that ripped off some roots. That's sad. Okay, just pulling the plant out of the sphagnum, but it looks like it ripped off some of those roots there, which sucks a little bit. So the first thing that I want to talk about in all seriousness is the fact that I am getting married later this month. And so I wanted to warn y'all in advance that there's going to be a little bit of time where I'm probably not going to be posting as much because I am off busy getting married, and I am going to try and take actual proper time off for that. I feel like I typically say I'm taking time off and then I end up I still do stuff. I'll vlog it, or I'll do stuff for Patreon, or just I feel like I'm still very much present online even though I'm taking time off. But during the last 2 weeks of September, I am going to be much more offline than normal, if not entirely offline. So don't worry about me if that's something you were gonna do. I am coming back, but I just wanted to let you know in advance that I won't be posting probably as many videos. I am doing my best to prepare in advance for that and get enough so I have at least one video going up each week while I'm gone. But at the same time, if that doesn't end up happening, I'm just accepting that that's okay, because this is probably one of the most important times in my entire life, and I want to be as present as I possibly can during this time. Also, I got several questions about wedding related stuff, so I figured oh my god, did you see that lightning? Don't hear any thunder, so it's obviously not that close, or I was just imagining it. Oh, it's just gone now. So the storm is far away. Maybe while I'm doing this video, it'll get closer and closer. So I have several different wedding related questions on here, and I'm excited to answer them because I feel like that's the biggest thing that's going on in my life. I will answer some planty questions as well, but this is kind of it's my current hyper focus. If you're on my Patreon or my, if you've seen my vlog channel videos, you'll know that this is like the only thing my brain can think about, and I'm not even thinking about plants anymore at the current moment. And so I feel like these questions just make the most sense to answer first. So the first one is, are you feeling ready to be married? Yes, I am. I feel like with Joe and I's relationship, we've been together for nearly 7 years at this point. We know we are each other's people. So love-wise, yes, absolutely. But also planning-wise, yes, I think we are ready as well. We are only a couple weeks out at this point, and so there's really not much else we can do in that time aside from like tiny little like buying random things off of Amazon, like little decor things, or we've got all our signs printed and all of the vendors are booked and everything at this point. So there's really nothing else we can do about the wedding and in sort of any big way. So feeling ready. I think Joe and I are also both quite tired of planning. It's kind of crazy that, like, I see why people hire wedding planners because it is such a big job, and we've spent so much time thinking about this single day over the past year. It's crazy how much time goes into wedding planning, and we're both just ready to not have it on our minds anymore at this point and just enjoy the day and actually get to celebrate it. So yeah, feeling ready in that sense. Somebody else also asked, do you think marriage will make you feel different than you already feel? And to be honest, probably not. Like I said, Joe and I have been together for many years at this point. We've been living together, we own a flat together, we own our cat together, like, not really. So I don't think anything's gonna change like that, but I am curious to see if it does feel any different because we have been together for so long. Like, I don't know. Oh, it's just started really raining. Yeah, I don't know if it will feel any different. It does feel like a very mature adult thing to be doing, getting married. I still feel like I'm a child at heart. And so it feels a bit like, ooh, I'm doing an adult thing. This is like kind of the final step of being an adult. I genuinely can't think of any other adult steps other than like buying a home, but we have our home. So maybe buying a different home? Buying like a house instead of a flat, maybe? But I just feel like this is one of the most adult things to be doing. And not that we haven't thought about it or anything, because we've been thinking about it for quite a long time. Obviously, we've been engaged for ages. I say ages, it's been a year and a half now. And we've been together for so long that it just feels like the next logical step. And also, the only thing that actually might feel different is we'll have like just more general rights to go along with being married. Just because in general you get more rights when you have a spouse. And that will be quite nice. Like, it'll be easier for us to go to the States because if we want to move out there, Joe can more easily get citizenship, or not even citizenship, just like a green card or work visa or something. If we wanted to go live out in the States for a while, he wouldn't need to necessarily find one through a job. He could get a sort of green card through me or something, if that's something that we want to do down the line. I mean, there's not really that many tax breaks in the UK for us, at least. I feel like I'm thinking about this very logically. I don't think we're going to feel any different, to be honest. I feel like I'm just happy that I get to marry my favorite person in the entire world. Which, I mean, if that's not a reason to get married, then I don't know what is. Someone's also asked if I'm going to be incorporating plants into our wedding, and yes, we are. We've hired a local plant shop, which I'm not gonna share all of the details up front because I want to have the wedding first, and then I'll be sharing so much. But instead of doing florals, we've decided to hire a local plant shop that's nearby-ish, and they're bringing a bunch of houseplants to the venue and setting that up instead of having something like florals. Because, I mean, I'm not necessarily a flower person. Joe doesn't really care either way about flowers, and so I feel like this was just the most logical thing. And so we are incorporating houseplants into the wedding. I don't think it would be my wedding if it didn't have houseplants in it. It feels kind of weird because I don't just want to be that like weird houseplant lady, which, I mean, I am, let's be honest. But I don't know, it just feels like to everybody else in my life that's not a plant person, it might be seen as kind of weird, but I don't care. It's our day. We're gonna do what we want. Are you having a honeymoon? And if so, where are you going? So we have decided to do a bit of a mini moon right after the wedding. So for a few days after we have our wedding, we're going to be spending some time in Pembrokeshire in Wales. It's a coastal national park in Wales, and neither of us have been there before, and we've heard it's absolutely gorgeous. So it's like just the kind of UK holiday that we would go on, but we were like being a little bit bougie about it and like getting a nice hotel and probably gonna get some like massages or something. So we're doing a mini moon then kind of thing, but we also want to do a sort of bigger honeymoon thing, but probably do it later on, hoping for maybe next year time for maybe our 1-year anniversary or something, celebrate then, just to like regain some energy. It's been quite a lot of work planning the wedding, and so if we thought about having to plan like a 2-week holiday in a different country as well, that would be quite intense. And also like to resave up some money would be good. So we haven't even really looked into that, but we're hoping to hopefully go to Japan next year as our sort of bigger honeymoon. But like I said, that's not going to be for a while yet, just because we're gonna need some time to recover. I don't understand how some people can like have their wedding and then immediately go off and do a honeymoon. I feel like that would be, it just seems like a lot for me. And both Joe and I are not like, we just get tired out by like heavy social things. And so to have like probably the biggest social event of our joint lives and then immediately have to go do a huge trip, I feel like that would be quite exhausting for us. So probably not the best idea, but a mini moon on the coast where we can go on like walks and stuff, go on hikes, sounds like just up our alley. That's like one of the favorite things that like Joe and I do together. We love going on walks and hikes. It just like, that's just when I feel happiest, when I'm with Joe walking in nature. So it just kind of makes sense to do that right after the wedding. I actually got quite a lot of questions about sort of content creating as well. I feel like I haven't addressed these questions before. So one of them is, do you ever get hate or rude comments on your videos? Yes, I do. I actually have, I don't know if this is a normal thing to do or not, but I actually have a folder on my desktop titled hate comments. And whenever I get a hate comment or like a snarky comment, I will screen grab it and put it in there. And I feel like I'm saving them for an inevitable sort of reacting to hate comments video that I might do at some point. I don't know if I will ever do one of those videos, but like, yeah, I save them all and I read them all and I save them all. But I feel like I am not like okay with hate comments. Obviously, I don't think anyone should ever be getting hate comments. I think it is rude and not a good thing to do. Not on. Don't give hate comments. But I know it happens, and I feel like I knew that going into this industry, that it was going to be something that I would have to be ready for. And I kind of just like let them roll off my back a little bit, like water off a duck's back. I just like, this person doesn't know me. This person has no actual influence in my life. Like, they're probably just a keyboard warrior who thinks because they're on the internet that they can do whatever they want because they can hide behind their computer screen. So I tend to not take anything too personally. Of course, it depends on loads of things, how my mental state is at any point in time. In general, though, I feel like I'm pretty good about just like not caring what people say on the internet, because they don't know me, so how can they actually have an idea of what I am? The most hate comments I get are like, oh, you're talking too long, or you talk too much, or just get to the point, or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I think that is probably accurate. I'm doing an entire video that's probably going to be like at least 45 minutes to an hour long just talking to no one. I mean, to y'all, but like, yeah, so I do kind of get that one a little bit. Or people who like find me annoying or something. I'm like, okay, well, if you found me annoying, don't watch my video. But like the fact that you commented just like gives me more engagement. So like, keep commenting, keep telling me how terrible I am. Go for it. Someone's also asked what my top tips for growing an Instagram page are. And I feel like that's kind of a difficult question because I haven't been actively trying to grow my Instagram page in quite a long time. If you've been around for a while, I feel like I got to 40,000 Instagram followers and then it just kind of plateaued for a very, very long time. And also every year when I do a World Naked Gardening Day photo, I lose about like several hundred followers. So after that, the Instagram algorithm just decides that I am not worthy of new followers, which fine, I don't really care. So to grow on Instagram, I think it's just about posting consistently and posting good quality photos. And also being real. I know Instagram itself is not about being real, but if you're being real in an aesthetic way, that's kind of my best thought for it. But to be honest, I schedule all of my Instagram posts. I cannot, for the life of me, do them like every single day. Otherwise, it just would not work. I don't have the sort of energy to make that happen. But also just taking good quality photos. I take most of my photos on my iPhone, and I do edit most of them, just typically to make them look closer to how my eyes see them. I try not to make them overly edited or anything because I want to showcase the plant in how I see it. The best thing for it is good lighting. Good lighting makes a huge difference. I pretty much only take photos on sort of sunny days. So a day like today where it's super duper dark, I won't take Instagram photos, and that's kind of where batch creating and like scheduling things in advance comes in handy, because I couldn't possibly, I mean I could, it just wouldn't be a very good picture. But I couldn't, oh god, it's really tipping it down. But I don't think I could take a very good high quality picture today that would very well represent my plant, because it is so gloomy. So I will go through and find a picture that I took last week when it was nice and bright and sunny. So whenever it is a nice day, I go through and try and take a bunch of pictures of my plants to try and have something to post later down the line. So I have potted my Rephotophora tetrasperma. And, ooh, I feel like I want to put it on something like a trellis. I've pulled my trellises out because I figure it'd probably be a good thing to have. And I could put it on a moss pole, but I've already potted it up now, so I don't really feel like that's the right answer for right now. I'm just going to do a trellis, and I have this sort of roundy one that I'm going to just pop in there. And then the last question on this sort of thing is, when things get too much for you with your collection, do you ever just want to throw in the towel? And I am gonna kind of talk about this on both the like YouTube front / like social media front, as well as plant collecting front. So yes, I think about that on a semi-regular basis. Never enough that I would actually quit, I don't think, because I do in general really love this job, but at the same time it is like it can be overwhelming and like a lot of pressure a good chunk of the time. So it is a lot of work, and you have to be your own boss, you have to be your own motivator and all of that. So when I'm feeling low and like I'm not wanting to take care of my plants or make videos, it can get quite difficult to do so. So absolutely, like, but plant-wise, I don't think at this point I would ever want to not have houseplants, because I love them so much. They make me very, very happy, and I genuinely couldn't imagine my life without houseplants at this point. But it is something that I worry about. I always worry that, like, what if I just lose the passion for this? But I've created my entire, essentially, career around houseplants. So, like, if I lose my passion for it, what do I do? It's kind of a terrifying thought, because there are times when I do get overwhelmed and I want to not be taking care of my plants anymore, or there's times when I'm struggling with them. But yeah, I don't know what I'll do if I ever like genuinely lose passion for this hobby. Knock on wood that it doesn't happen, because I don't think I could handle that. I don't think I can go back to a normal job at this point. I love being my own boss so freaking much. But yeah, I do think I get really overwhelmed with my plant collection fairly regularly. Like at least once or twice a year, I have times when I'm just feeling like it's all a bit much plant care wise, and everything is getting really hectic. It's usually aligned with when I'm also really busy with work or life stuff. Sort of plant stuff goes on the back burner, and then the work I have to do kind of piles up until I have so much to do that it just kind of feels like insurmountable, if that makes sense. So yes, 100%. It can get really, really stressful. And I do have some videos about how I think I have a video at least on how I try and minimize plant burnout. I've talked about it before in like mental health chats and stuff like that. But one thing that I am doing this year at least is downsizing, and I am really glad that I've been downsizing this year. I feel like I'm a lot happier having downsized. I just feel like much less stressed about things now that I've got fewer houseplants, especially fewer houseplants that I'm not enjoying taking care of or that I'm finding really difficult to take care of. It's quite nice to not have as many of those anymore and to not have to worry about them and really focus on the ones that I have and that I'm really, really loving. It's really important to me, and so I am glad that I have downsized. I've kind of had a bit of a bump this summer where I wasn't downsizing at all, wasn't getting rid of any plants, but I got a bunch of plants in, and so that kind of freaked me out for a little bit because I was suddenly like really, really overwhelmed. But since then I have done that downsize with me video and have actually gotten rid of several of at least the bigger plants already, which I feel so much better having done that and having got rid of some of those plants. Abso-freaking-lutely. I feel way better having done that. And just like I have more energy to take care of the ones that I actually do care about in my collection. So I'm glad I did that. Also finished this. I think that looks pretty good. And I ended up not cutting this tall one because it doesn't even go to the top of the trellis. So for now I will leave it, and then if it gets too tall from there, I can always chop it down the line. So I feel like that's a good place now. I might need to put more soil in it once it has been watered, because I usually like to water directly after repotting plants because I feel like there's air pockets in this. But for now, that is okay. Oh, again, I did this again where I have like one semi-hydro plant to do, and I've created a mess for myself. So I'm just gonna keep doing soil ones for the time being. I'm going to join together these two. So I know they're not the same plant, but they're very, very similar peperomias. So this one here is the Peperomia Havaria, and then this one in my left hand is the Peperomia incana. Incana? I think that's right. And they're both dripping because I've just watered them. But they're both the sort of velvety leafed peperomias, and so I'm gonna pop them in together. Hi, baby. Hi. It's really raining, isn't it? Hi. What is it, Bibba? It's really raining out there. Do you want to sit on my lap for a little while? Yeah. Okay, sit on my lap. Just falls onto my lap. How about you sit behind me? Can you sit behind me, lovely? No. Okay, I'm just gonna do this. Down, please. Thank you. Okay, I am just going to do this, unpot them and repot them together in one pot. I'm actually going to put them into the pot that I had the Rhaphidophora tetraspermas in, because why not? That should be absolutely fine. Oh, hello again. While she's sitting like this and I can't really use my hands. Oh, baby. Someone else asked if I would still be downsizing if I had more space. And I think I would be. Obviously it's hard to know because like I feel like my plant collection is kind of like growing a goldfish. It will grow to the size of the tank that it is provided, and our current flat is the current tank. It has grown to this size, and now I've gotten to that point. If I had more space, I'm sure that I would buy more plants. Bless you. But I I want to think that I would, sorry if you can hear her purring as well, she's closer to the microphone than normal. I like to think that I wouldn't get too many new plants, but I do think I would get some, probably just bigger plants, like physically sized bigger, as opposed to a bunch of smaller plants. I am quite enjoying the really big ones I have in my collection. I like having so many big ones, but my space can only fit it can only fit a few really big plants. So if I had more space, I would love to have like a gigantic monstera I could put somewhere, let my bird of paradise get really big, and have my moss pole plants in a different place, bless you, and kind of let myself have more room for bigger things. I'm also going to put one of my clear Arca trellises in here because these ones are regularly falling up over the place. She's such a silly goose. Okay, and then some soil. Sorry, she's really distracting me right now, and I cannot do more than one thing at once while she is here. Okay. And then I'm gonna put the little Hovaria stick that I have on the side with the Hovaria. That's a good one. Up next, we are going to deal with my jade plant. Actually, so I'm filming this after I have filmed the video that's going up on Tuesday next week, and I show this one in that, and I'm showing it because it is literally the floppiest thing, and this is in a heavy cement pot, and like if I let go, it will fall over because, ooh, and it's also losing leaves because it is just, it's not in the pot. It's been potted really shallowly because I haven't repotted it in literal years. That's one of the joys of jade plants is I never even think about this plant. And it's grown so well. I grew this one from propagations. I think two stem propagations. And it has done very, very well in this time. But I think I want to encourage it to branch out as well. So I'm going to go in and cut the tops off of this, of all of them. Just beheading this plant really quick. So I can encourage some branching out. And in theory, I could pot all of these up. I probably should pot all of these up. Oh, that's just a lot of work. But I also I still need to repot this one a little bit deeper in a little bit more soil, just so it has a bit more going on with it. Because it is feeling quite a bit ready at this point. But like I said, I've not repotted this one, I don't think ever, since I potted it up when it was tiny several years ago. So I think I do want to keep it in the same pot, just put more soil in. Is that bad? Is that a bad idea? Because I feel like it looks proportional to the plant. Am I just making that up? I'm just gonna put more soil in. And I've got some cacti. Yeah, see, that's still falling over. I've got some cacti and succulent soil from Soil Ninja here. And that's the perfect stuff for this. Someone's also asked if it is too late in the year to be repotting. Obviously, I don't think so. Otherwise, I wouldn't be repotting. I'm of the mindset when it comes to repotting that you can repot any time of year. If your plant needs to be repot, it will benefit from being repot. If it's at that point where it needs it. So you may as well just do it. Of course, when it's getting into the cooler, darker months, it isn't quite there yet. We are still at the beginning of September. We're not quite to like past daylight saving times or anything yet, where it's like getting super cold and dark. But when it is cooler and darker, it might take a little bit longer for your plant to bounce back from the stress of a repot. And so that's why people don't typically recommend that you repot during the cooler months. But that doesn't mean that you can't. It might just take slightly longer for your plants to do anything once they have been. And like the shock can be a little bit more intense for it during this period, but I've personally never had any sort of big issues with it. But also, if my plants grow a little bit slower for a minute, it's probably a good thing because I have too many to begin with. So I think it's absolutely okay, but it is personal judgment and personal preference. If you want to wait until spring, you can do, but if the plant really needs a repot it. Regardless of the time of year, do it dead winter. I don't think that should, like, you shouldn't not repot just because it's the dead of winter. If your plant is screaming out for a repot, there's a reason for it, so just do it. So I think that makes sense. This feels much better now. You can see it's actually, you can see it's sitting better. It is sitting slightly better. It can stand without falling over. And if I put it in its pot, yeah, that is secure. It is not going anywhere now. I think partly because cactus and succulent soil is just so like dense and heavy with the grit and sand and stuff in it. It does really, really well like this. But it looks so different beheaded. Kind of sad actually, but that's okay. And then these ones, oh, I don't know what I want to do with these because I'm okay not putting them back into the original plant, but I feel kind of bad just throwing them away. But also, I know for a fact that jade plant cuttings at plant swaps end up on the free table and don't get taken home at the end of the day. So I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with these. I could prop them and pop them outside for someone to just take, or put them on Facebook Marketplace or something for free. Honestly, I would never sell a jade plant cutting because they prop so easily that it's just kind of like, really, you're selling a jade plant cutting? Not to judge anyone who does that, but judging. I've also been asked several times lately about the London plant swap that's supposed to be coming up in October. Yes, it is still going on, but we've had a little bit of a change with the venue and we're still working on getting that all finalized before we put the event back up and start selling tickets. Just because the event, or the space we were going to have it in, was supposed to be the same space we had the springtime one in, and while we did like that venue, we didn't think it was perfect for us, and so it's best if we do it somewhere else where we have a bit more space, a bit more light and stuff like that. So we're not going to do it there. We needed to like change some stuff around, which is absolutely fine. So it's going to happen. It's just not up on the website at the minute. The last one that I wanted to repot, I have a couple that I wanted to behead. Maybe I'll do those first, actually. More beheadings. This one is my Ficus elastica shiveriana, and it is doing so well. But I want to behead it again to promote some new growth to come in and maybe for it to branch out a little bit. So let's see if I can tilt the camera up a bit, just so y'all can see what I'm doing. Cut off the top and it is leaking the rubber sap stuff, and I will propagate this at some point after I finish filming this video, but I want to do that one And I also have the normal Taniki that I want to behead. Okay, so the last plant that I want to do is my Alocasia reversa. Hello there again. And basically I just need to put this into a bigger pot, and I actually got some new bigger pots that I'm actually really excited about. They came this afternoon, and they are the same style as the one I had before. This is just the bigger version of the one I had, but it has a clear insert instead of a white one. So you can get the white insert ones. Oh my goodness, you can just see how much rootage it's got. You can get the white insert ones on Amazon, but I saw the other day that Eastern Tropicals just came out with these ones, which are the same sort of thing, but with a clear insert, which means I can look at the roots better, which I'm very excited about. So I got myself some of these. These are the biggest ones of these they have, and this is actually way bigger than I thought it was gonna be. I did pull out my measuring tape and stuff, so I thought I knew what I was getting, but these are bigger than I thought they were. But it's okay. I think this one will still benefit from the upgrade to this size. I can always not pot it all the way to the bottom or whatever. So I'm still going to use my microfiber cloth bits instead of the cotton wick that they come with, because I much prefer this and it doesn't go as moldy. There we go. And then we can just transfer it over. Let me find a question in the meantime. Ooh, someone's also asked if the plants ever bug Joe. I think the only time that they actually bug Joe is when I have like them in the bathtub or something like that. Oh God, am I gonna be able to get this out? Is when I have them in the bathtub or shower and they're getting, they're getting in his way there. In general, I think that is probably quite annoying of me to keep plants in there very often. I try to not keep my plants in there because I know that it annoys him. So if I can possibly help it, oh my goodness, stay. If I can possibly help it, I will not keep my plants in the shower because of that. I'm gonna keep having the stake in here because it is quite useful to have. It's just a random, I think it's a stainless steel spike that I got from my old job. They were just like randomly left over. So I'm just gonna put some of this on the bottom quickly. Fabulous. Now I can better try and pull this out because it is properly stuck in there. Yeah, I don't really think Joe gets annoyed at the plants. It's only when I get like soil in the sink, or pond in the sink, more likely, and like that gets in the way, or like I'm just keeping stuff in places that it isn't, that's like a useful space for us to use in our home on a general basis. That's when he gets annoyed about them. But I think in general he likes having the plants around. Oh my goodness, stop. I must have put this bit of garlic mesh in the pot because it wasn't, I didn't have big enough semi-hydro to cover the holes. And it's kind of right now making something similar to a pot of death. That's going to be annoying. One second, let me just get this out of here. One moment. Definitely doing some involuntary root pruning at the minute. Ooh, uh-oh. I've just like pulled that off the bottom. Okay, I'm actually going to chop the bottom off of this. And let this callus over a little bit, actually, before potting it up all the way, because I want this end to dry out a little bit. So this was the bottom bit of the stem, which I just pulled straight off, and you can see that that is rotten. And I have decided to cut it now, so it's got a fresh wound, which I think is good because it doesn't look like there's rot in there at that point. But I want to let that callus over for a little bit, but I also don't want the roots to dry out. So I'm just going to balance the cutting on here, have all the roots inside of that, and then put some water in. Obviously not all the way, and it's not going to be for very long. It's just going to be for like 45 minutes or so, just to let this bit callus over, because it's going to need to callus over, unfortunately. I will come back to you in like half an hour and we can finish up this video.
Later.
Okay, so it's been 30 minutes and this is where we are at with it. It is definitely not all the way dry yet, but I think that's just gonna have to be what it is for right now. And basically I can just not fill this pot up with as much water. I can just like leave it to dry out for like a day, because the semi-hydro is still a little bit damp. I don't think the roots are going to have an issue with it in this time. So let us get this in while I answer the last couple of questions that I have time for in today's video. Also, really sorry if I didn't get to your question. It just happens. I get so many that I can't possibly answer everything. This one is, name a plant that if it died right now in front of your eyes, you wouldn't care. I feel like that's a little bit of a difficult one because I have been downsizing what I'd say is very well recently. I have been getting rid of things nicely and making sure that I'm not just like having things in my collection that I don't like love as much. I genuinely don't think I have much that I'd be okay with like absolutely dying. So I think I'm gonna have to say something like, oh, is that a thread? Oh no, it's a springtail. Okay. Whew. I saw like a little white thing moving around. No, it was a springtail. If a plant were to die, I feel like I'd want it to be one that I could replace quite easily. So maybe something like a golden pothos or whatever, but like I don't think that really counts as me being okay with it because I would just replace it quite quickly. I don't think I have many or any in my collection at the minute anymore that I would be like genuinely okay with dying and me not being able to replace them, which I am glad about. I feel like that's the whole point of downsizing, is making sure that I have I always have things that I love in my home. It's a funny one. How tall are you? I'm 5'9", which is fairly tall for a girl, a woman. Yeah, I'm fairly tall. Ooh, if you, Cleo, and your partner could be any of your plants, which would you be and why? So I think I would be something variegated because of my hair. Purely aesthetically, I mean. Oh, I'd want to be my variegated Repot Chat I'm, because I think that's a fun one and they're not super common. And not that I'm saying like I'm not like other girls, but I feel like I am kind of weird and hard to find. I don't know, that sounds weird. Joe is something like really, really sturdy and like hardy and can like tolerate a lot, because he's super duper level-headed and very chill about things. So I think probably something like a cast iron plant, I feel like would be good for him, because those are just so chill and like I don't need to worry about it at all, ever. Cleo's a hard one, because part of me wants to say she's something like an alocasia, because she's not the biggest fan of change. She's a little bit picky, but once you give her the right stuff, she can grow really, really happy and be nice. So some sort of alocasia makes sense for Cleo. If we're going with me temperament-wise, I feel like I'm a bit over dramatic, and I really like the sun. What's something over dramatic that likes the sun? Oh, I don't know. What plant do you think I would be? Put your answers down below in the comments. I'm really curious to what you think I would be, and also what you think you yourself would be and why. I think that's a really fun one. But I definitely feel like Joe's a cast iron plant and Cleo's an alocasia, 100%. That is where I am going to end this video, because I have now repotted and beheaded all of the plants that I wanted to do. I'm actually also going to tie this one up again, because it's easier, because otherwise it just like flops all over the place. Especially with alocasias, I find that to be the case. So having some sort of stake to tie them up on is really, really useful. And so we'll do that. And she is good as gold in here. And like I said, I'm not going to put some water in this quite yet, because the semi-hydro itself is slightly moist at the minute. It's not bone dry, so I think it could manage for something like 24 hours without water, just to let that bottom bit of the thing callus a little bit more. I didn't want to leave it too late, because I need to like clean all this stuff up, which is fun. Also, how sick is this clear pot? I frickin' love that. And I think it's gonna be so useful, so I can like keep an eye on the roots a little bit better. Yes. But yeah, that is it. That is the end of my repot and chat video. Thanks for hopping on here and hanging out with me. If you've stayed till the end, I really appreciate it. And if you asked me a question, I really appreciate it, because I do enjoy answering your questions and like giving you the information that you want to know at the same time. So yeah, again, be aware that I probably I'm not going to be posting as much in the coming weeks because of the wedding and stuff, but that I am having fun and having a good time, and I will tell you all about it after it is over. If you want details in the meantime, I highly recommend you checking out my vlog channel and or Patreon, because that is where I'm posting more of that stuff, because I'm trying to keep things mostly planty over here, a little bit personal obviously, but for the most part planty is the most prominent thing. So if you really want to see something personal, those are the places to check that out. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future, and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Yeah, bye!